It's indeed a pleasure to welcome Dr. Bimal Jalan right here on ET Now. We continue to put the spotlight on the goods and the services tax, an ambitious tax reform, and we continue to get you the voices that matter. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Jalan, for being with us. Last credit policy, at least the RBI commentary and the assessment and even the word from the governor and the rest of the deputy governors in the press conference was that they will watch for the GST and that is going to be one of the determinants as far as monetary policy is concerned. What sort of an impact do you believe GST will have on monetary policy?
No, the only impact it has is that we have to get used to the idea of GST having multiple effects, for example on inflation, for example on flow of funds, you talked about profiteering and so on and so forth. But so far as monetary policy per se is concerned, and it would depend on how the fiscal deficit is. I mean, if the fiscal deficit is very high, then obviously there is a constraint on monetary policy. But I don't think the impact would be such that we can't handle the problem if it arises. And at the moment, I again, sorry to repeat this point, that your inflation is low, that we have tremendous amount of savings in store, as it were, and at the moment that things are moving positively on the NPAs also. So I am taking by and large that this is not something that we should be scared of or we should think that it won't work. But we have to be patient. And the other part which I have been emphasizing is that you have to accept any changes which are necessary on the ground based on the experience. In terms of rates or in terms of commodities which are in one rate, other commodities which are in another rate, and so on and so forth. So we have to keep our mind open and try and execute it in a way that it is beneficial to the economy as a whole, that it encourages investment, that it reduces what you might say bottlenecks, in transfer of resources or transfer of financial resources, that it doesn't have a negative impact on the strength of our financial market, and so on and so forth.
All right, those are the things that the government needs to watch out against. But I'm going to ask you a question point blank. You don't believe the GST reduces the elbow room for monetary easing, do you?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, in the sense that if you're talking about 3 months, say, then of course that you have to wait and watch. But if you're talking about the long run, then it doesn't.
So what are some of the things that the government needs to watch out against? I mean, what are some of the things that can potentially go wrong with a rollout of a tax reform as ambitious as this?
You see, rigidity can go wrong. I mean, can make it wrong. We should not be rigid. For example, as I said to you, that we should wait and watch how it works on the ground. Now, supposing you have to change the rates in order to make, say, food easier accessible. I mean, then we should be prepared to do that. And if you find that there is a very, very large impact on revenues and we need to control that part, then we should try and merge some of the rates that we have got with some other goods and services. So what I'm saying is that the most important direction to which we have to go is that be prepared to take as it comes and be prepared to change if necessary, and then keep a review review every 3 months or 6 months to see what needs to be done. So as you can see, I am very positive.
That's a word of advice and caution coming in from one of the best economic minds that I know. Rigidity is what can make it go wrong. But finally, before I let you go, a lot of detractors of the GST say that the government is rushing into this. My own view is very different, but I'm going to ask you for your view. Do you believe the government is rushing into this, or do you believe it's better to do it now than keep delaying it? Because whenever you do it, we can never be fully prepared.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no question. I mean, this is a new thing. It was started in 2010 or something. That could not be implemented at that time. Now it has been implemented. And let's wait and watch how it actually works on the ground. If supposing it doesn't work on the ground, then we should prepare to change it. But I have a feeling that it would work. And if you need to change, we have now announced, say, 4 rates or 6 rates or 5 rates. If you want to merge some of these rates, please do it. I mean, the whole profiteering issue is also important. Transfer issue is also important. And you talked about organized sector and unorganized sector. Now, unorganized sector becoming an organized sector, that also has a certain amount of what you might say uncertainty. That would people move from rural areas to urban areas, or would they be in rural areas, and if they are organized sector, then you would need a financial segment in terms of financial services, financial resources, which can be used. You see what I mean?
All right, so the word really is be prepared to change, do not be rigid, and keep watching for signals that come from the ground when the GST does roll out. Dr. Bimal Jalan, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.